Hey, everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We are on with Julia Wonder Woman Adler with Sourcing Automation. Hey, Julia.
Hi, good morning. Or actually, it's good afternoon to most of the country.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, night, wherever you are. We're just really glad you're here today. It's actually been a while since we've had a straight up recruiting daily educational webinar. So we are really excited to launch the year, and we're so happy to have Julia here. She is part of Batman's team. So she everyone, I'm sure you've all seen Batman. And we were really happy to have Julia come on as well. While everybody is getting settled in, let's just go over a few things. You are in listen only mode. That means that we cannot hear you. You can hear us, but you can still ask questions with your questions panel. If you have any questions about that, feel free to send me, sorry, I'm getting stuck here. Yeah, if you have any questions, just send them over and I'll give you an answer. You are going to receive a link to this video and the slide deck within 5 days. Probably today, but if we have any hiccups, just keep an eye on your inbox and we'll send that your way. Also, people can join while we're live, so please share all over social media with hashtag #OurDaily and let people know where you are today. And we also have our sponsor with us today, Emmy Labs. If you haven't heard of Emmy Labs, they are an AI platform for blue collar, high volume hiring. I really personally love this company just because of their focus on humanity. I really would love for you to check them out. They do offer a demo, and if you are interested in signing up for that, we'll send them your way. Just let us know. It's a really cool platform. I've personally just enjoyed working with them because the people are amazing at Emmy Labs. We'll just let that stay up for a few minutes. Julia, we're going to go straight to introducing you next. Do you want to tell everybody about yourself while we're here?
Sure. Awesome. Yeah, no problem. So a little bit about me. As Ashley mentioned, I work with Batman at Wayne Tech. I am a senior sourcer with him. My 1 year is actually coming up next week, working with Batman, so very exciting. We do sourcing a little bit unconventionally. I can tell you more about that offline. But other than that, I am the head of the marketing committee with ATAP, Association for Talent Acquisition Professionals. So I work with them there about a year also. I'm a dog mom. Those are my two babies, Sadie and Odin, respectively. They are kind of enjoying the weather that we have here right now. It's pretty cold. I have a picture of them in the snow from a couple weeks ago. But that's my babies. They are my world. They are really fantastic dogs. Had them for a couple years now. I should stop talking about my dogs, I know. Other than that, I'm also a runner. I'm on a little hiatus. I'm dealing with some asthma, but I pretty consistently run a half marathon every year. I try for time, so I've been running for several years now, and I try to keep it up as much as I can. And lastly, I love themed cooking. I know that's really bizarre and niche, but I like to cook for holidays and for events. So most recently, the Super Bowl. I told my friends and family and everything that I was very excited for the Super Bowl because it was an opportunity for me to make themed food. If you're wondering, I went ahead and made some dirt cups that looked like a football field with a little brownie that looked like a football on top.
Oh my gosh, we need
So
pictures.
yeah, I'll have to send around pictures if anybody's interested. But that is always something I love doing. I'm looking forward to Valentine's Day. Don't doubt it. There will be heart-shaped food. I'm very excited. So
Aw.
that's just a little bit about me. I love working with Recruiting Daily. I have written several articles with Recruiting Daily and have really enjoyed the partnership.
Well, we love working with you and we are so excited to have you here today and just giving you the stage. I'm going to hush and I'll send you over any questions. We actually already have a few questions, but I'll save them to the end.
Okay.
So I'm just going to mute. I'll ask you any questions that come in. Everybody send them my way. And Julia, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Thank
So
you.
now that you've had plenty of time to look at my dogs, they're actually both napping in the room with me right now. I can move on and tell you a little bit about automating your sourcing and recruiting pipeline. So to start off, I thought we'd start with looking at how to automate your search. When you're looking for your candidates, how are ways that you can quicken up your process and save yourself time in the long run? Interesting. Show anyway. Okay, well, my pictures are not loading. I wonder if I escape, if that will help. Yeah, let's see, because I think it's fun. We will try again. Sorry for this hiccup. I will be pretty bummed if you can't see my memes, but we'll continue on anyway. That one was not a meme, nothing too exciting. So to start off, let's automate our sourcing. So first thought that I have when it comes to sourcing and ways to automate your process is I find myself running searches over and over again. I work really heavily in software. And so I find myself always typing the same strings. I'm not looking for a manager or director or VP level. I'm also not looking for a contractor for this specific role. I'm not looking for interns, things like that. So I write that string all the time, like all the time. I also end up writing strings for certain tech companies or companies with recent layoffs. If you're in the recruiting space, that can save you a lot of time looking at companies that are going through layoffs and going for those types of candidates. So the first thing I do is actually jump to one of my sourcing platforms, whether it's Seekout or LinkedIn or HireTool, whatever it might be, and type out a string that I find myself writing a lot, and actually save that search. So just saving the string into a search. So anytime that you're running a search in the future, you can just hop on to your platform, open up that search, and continue on writing a longer string with that as a beginning parameter. I actually think that Brian Fink came up with this tip. So shout out to Brian Fink for that. It has saved me a ton of time in the long run. So once you have started sourcing, you've got your saved searches. This will take a little time up front, but it will save you oodles of time down the road. You can go ahead and continue to automate your process. If you're writing a search string that maybe you're looking for top software companies, for example, and you get your website and it's just this huge list and you really do not feel like typing out all of the search, all of the parameters, everything like that, then you can actually go ahead, jump to your page that you're wanting to scrape. It'll look something like this. Maybe this is one that I end up looking at frequently for searches. And you can data scrape this. So if you're going to web scrape, I'll hop to my next slide just so you can see my meme because I love memes. You can't see it. That is such a bummer. Well, you'll get to see it when you get the slides, but it's a SpongeBob meme. I hope you enjoy it in the future. I go ahead and jump to my page. I personally prefer Data Miner as a web scraper. You don't need to know how to code to be scraping the web or anything. It's fairly simple. I did include a link to other web scrapers that are free as well. But all I did was download the extension. It is right up here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I can start scraping here. So I got to pop up on a different screen. I will bring it over. So what I'll do is I will start a new recipe for a scrape. And then it is pretty simple once you know what you're doing. So I'll walk through it kind of slowly here so you can get a sense for what we're looking at. So you can just immediately jump to rows. And then Data Miner makes it really easy. They have an easy row finder. How much more simple can that be? So you go ahead and click there. It has directions for you. The first thing you're going to do is hover over the section that you want. You'll click 1. So you capture that. You'll scroll down to the second option that you're wanting to capture, and you click 2. So now you can see this is top 100 software companies. It has found 100 rows, so you know that that is on track. So you'll go ahead and confirm. And then you'll move to columns. So you'll scroll back up to your first one. You'll do easy column finder, super simple. We're looking for text here. And we want to select our column. So we'll click C here. And then you can see it's capturing one Salesforce, which is exactly what we want. So we can confirm that there. From here, we can go ahead and save this. So I'm going to call this top 100 software companies and save my scrape. So now that it is saved, I can start my scrape. I got another pop-up over here. And you can see it's starting to scrape and clearly works very quickly. So you can see my full list here. I've got all my top companies. And so I'll go ahead and download it. I prefer CSV. I work very heavily in Google Sheets. You can download it as an Excel as well. We'll just call it top 100 software companies scrape. And we'll save it in my presentation folder because I have one made. And then from there, we are going to go ahead and pop this into a spreadsheet. So I will go ahead and drag over my spreadsheet. I'm sorry, my computer is huffing and puffing trying to get this done quickly, but it is a little MacBook Air and it's doing the best it can. But,
Would you like me to launch the poll while we wait?
Yeah, I would love that, or any questions.
Okay, cool. So we have a poll here. Do you use Google Sheets or Excel on a daily basis? And it's almost all yes. We're getting some no's, but it looks like a lot of people use Excel.
Awesome. I'm glad that you guys use Excel frequently or Google Sheets. It can be a super great lifesaver. It's way more customizable than a lot of ATSs. Great way to track any data. I use it personally as well. Sometimes, tracking expenses or grocery lists, as silly as that seems. I am a big fan, so I'm glad you guys are as well. So I'm going to go ahead and upload my list into here and continue on, unless there are any questions I can answer in the meantime.
Well, we do have a couple of questions. How do you like working for Batman?
I love working with Batman. He has been a great teacher for me, super helpful and very much a part of the community. So he's really opened my eyes to the recruiting and sourcing community, which has been awesome. I love being a part of it. And it's been fun. We have themed costumes that we all put on, Batman, Nightwing, and Wonder Woman. And so, yeah, love it. I think that
we're so glad to have you here.
Awesome. Hey there, Ashley, I think you cut out. To continue on, since I lost Ashley there, I'm going to go ahead. I don't want the numbers or anything in my list of companies. So what I'll do from here is I will just actually split the data. So I'm gonna go ahead and split. I will want to split this one, and I will want to get rid of that. So that'll split my data. I know there's probably some .coms in here, so I'll have to fix the data after, but you can see here that now we have this list of companies, which is great. So I'm just honestly, it's only one, so I'm just gonna fix it. But that's what we've got here. From there, the next step I tend to take to automate this search is I jump to Batman's Boolean Builder. Again, shout out to Batman for taking the time to create this for the community. It was a lot of work, a lot of formula work, and so I'm super grateful. I use this almost on a daily basis. I feel like I can get a little lazy sometimes with my searches, so many ors, ands, and nots, that I tend to lean on this Boolean Builder pretty heavily. He has made it available for the community to use. I've included the link here. And all you have to do is make a copy and save it for yourself so that you can edit the Boolean Builder, just so that we don't have too many people on it at once. It doesn't crash. So go ahead, save the sheet for yourself. I can show you what that looks like here. And if my computer lets me click and show you the next step. So you can see here, this is the Boolean Builder. It is loading slowly but surely. Down here you have tabs for different types of Boolean string you want to use. So if you're looking for any of these companies, I would use an or statement. You have and, you have not, you have around if you're looking for certain cities, around with or, around with pipes, depending on what tool you're using if you're searching in Google, etc. So this has been a really awesome tool for me. It looks like a ton of people are on here right now. And so you can tell it's definitely being appreciated. So I would just go ahead, hop to my spreadsheet, copy all of my information here, and pop this into the Boolean Builder over here. So you can see here now that I have a big search string. So all I would do is copy this and paste without formatting down here. So now you have your whole search string built out for you. You can see down here at the end, there's a bunch of extra ors, or if you're me and you have 100 values, there's only one extra or, you just go ahead and delete that. And then you have a string that you can go ahead and save into your different search platforms. So that is the first thing I would do when it comes to automating your sourcing. It can save a ton of time. It is worth the hassle. I just did that in about less than 15 minutes. And so if you just take that time when you have a moment, maybe you're in between searches, then you can save yourself a ton of time on the back end. From there, I will go ahead once I've finished my sourcing and I am looking to start messaging my candidates. Again, we're having some technical issues here where you cannot see my images, but we will present anyway. I can just tell you about the platforms instead of having the images. For bulk upload, we use a couple different email finding platforms that have worked really well for us. Sourcewell has been really awesome for this. If you haven't heard of Sourcewell, it is an email campaign platform. They have an email finding tool built into it. So if you pop in your list of candidates that you're wanting to email, they actually have a button that you can just click once you upload your CSV that allows you to find emails. It pulls from a bunch of different email finding tools. It is really awesome. We use Swordfish pretty heavily as well when it comes to uploading in bulk, just kind of leaving that to do its thing. It is very quick and efficient and has a pretty good rate. And then we also use Signal Hire. for bulk upload. That one takes a little bit longer, but it has been really successful for us. Bang for your buck, Kendo actually also bulk uploads. I haven't tried their bulk upload feature, but they are pretty affordable, do have bulk upload. I have seen a ton of success while using the extension for Kendo. Sourcewell as well, you're getting an email campaign platform as well as email finding and bulk upload for that email finding. Really awesome. I'll tell you more about Sourcewell later. And then affordable, as I mentioned, Kendo is quite affordable. Nymeria is also fairly affordable of a email finding tool. So that's what I use for email finding. I prefer email finding over LinkedIn messaging for the sake of automation. You can automate email campaigns. It's much more difficult to automate LinkedIn campaigns and have them personalized. But I much prefer email. You have a higher response rate. You have less time upfront and on the back end when it comes to messaging. So from there, if it's going to let me do this, it's a little, there we go. Reload. Okay.
Hey, Julia.
So as I mentioned, yes.
We do have a few questions if you have a moment, if this is a good time to stop. And I am so sorry, you guys. I did not realize I was off of mute and typing to the mic. Do you have time to take a couple?
Yes.
Okay, so for all of the applicants, Anita's asking if you only use Google Sheets or do you use ATS or CRM?
So at this moment right now, we pretty heavily track our candidates through Google Sheets. As I mentioned at the beginning, we do our work a little bit differently than a lot of sourcing and recruiting functions. We don't necessarily track fills and things like that nearly as closely. We provide data over anything. So we stick to Google Sheets pretty heavily. We are actually starting to move to Loxo though for keeping track of data as well. It is pretty customizable, has a lot of functionality, and so we are moving there. So that is another tool we use fairly heavily. It does have really great functionality. It is also fairly affordable. So I highly recommend Loxo. We like Google Sheets just because we are sourcers through and through. We like to write our own strings. We don't like AI as much. It does save you time though. But that kind of translates also to the way we track our information. We much prefer to have customizable experience. So we do pretty heavily rely on Google Sheets as well as Loxo.
Thank you. And do you have time for one more?
Sure.
What are 2 to 3 favorite Chrome extensions?
Ooh, that is a very good question. 2 to 3 favorite Chrome extensions. I'm actually going to escape out of my presentation to take a look at my list. Expensity, actually, off the bat, because it can keep some of your extensions turned off, turned on, depending on what you're using. So I have one for keeping just my daily extensions open so that my computer doesn't crash from being overwhelmed with all of these extensions. So then I also switched to email finding. This extension's been really, really awesome, a lifesaver for me. Other than that, I really like Jamilius for Gmail and Checker Plus for Gmail. So Jamilius allows you to set yourself reminders to follow up with candidates, and that can help you if you're like, somebody says, I want to hear from you in 6 months. I have a horrible memory. I'm never going to remember that. I could write it 1,000 places. I'm still not going to remember. So Jamilius sends you a notification on the day that you're supposed to follow up, which has been really awesome. You can also tag your teammates if you need them to follow up on something. It has a lot of great functionality. And then, as I mentioned, the Checker Plus for calendar in Gmail. I run a bunch of different inboxes on different client platforms and domains. So I am able to track all of my different Gmail emails just from a quick look here. So if I click this, you can see, I'm not going to open it for sake of privacy, but you can see all of my different email domains and all little blurbs of what each email says. It saves me a lot of time and lets me know what I need to deal with now versus something that can wait until later. Checker Plus for Google Calendar makes me sure that I don't miss anything, which is very important. I actually had in my mind today that this was at 2 p.m. CST for me because I sit in Central and have been reading EST over and over and over. So Checker for calendar is the reason I'm here today. So it really does save me some time as well. So those are probably the ones that I interact with the most heavily, although I do want to give a big shout out to multi-highlight. It's basically the find function for your searches, except you can put a bunch of different search terms in there. So you can see I'm right now looking for a front-end engineer. And so I have a bunch of terms in there that'll help me quickly see that on the page. So yeah, those are my top extensions that I like.
Very cool. Thank you so much. And we have more questions, but I'll let you go for now.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thanks, Julia.
So I'm a little bit off path right now. Where was I? So we talked about saving your searches. There's a Drake meme there again. You'll get to see it later. I'm not going to cry about it now, but from there, we are going to go ahead and look at automating your outreach. So as I mentioned earlier, you can use an email campaigning tool to save you a ton of time. What an email campaigning tool will allow you is to write all of your messaging up front, your whole campaign. You can also load in your list of emails, your candidate names, everything, all the modifiers you want to use in your emails. It's very customizable. You can use first names, you can use whatever you want. Sourcewell actually has really awesome functionality when it comes to like days of week, things like that. So in terms of the email campaign tools that we use, as I mentioned, we are using Sourcewell pretty heavily right now. I also love Interstellar. It's tried and true, very reliable. It helps with your email health. So if you are struggling, Lemlist, Interstellar have functionality to help bring your email health back if you are getting sent to spam a lot. I have used Gem in the past. It does have some capability to send LinkedIn campaigning. It's not as automated. LinkedIn makes it very, very difficult. It's not on Gem. LinkedIn makes it incredibly difficult to do anything outside of LinkedIn. So that is another one that we have used. In terms of why you're going to want to do this, as I mentioned earlier, you will have a higher response rate when you're landing in somebody's email inbox. If you have added me or messaged me on LinkedIn, I am so sorry. I am notoriously bad about checking my own LinkedIn, which is just, it's a New Year's resolution. But I'm a perfect example of why you want to be emailing somebody over emailing them. So that is one reason. You can have your whole campaign in one place at one time. You can write your messaging ahead of time. You can also run A/B tests. So if you're wondering if a certain subject line will work better, or maybe if you want to include a detail about the role in the messaging or not, you can test that there. You also get a ton of data from email campaigning tools. So you'll get information like the open rate or the response rate, how many people were interested, things like that. A lot of these campaigning tools are smart enough to know if the person responded to pause the campaign. So something great about Sourcewell that I learned like 2 weeks ago from Tim is that if you get a response from a candidate and it says something like, I'm out of the office right now, it's not a real response, it's an automated response. It actually continues the campaign. It knows that that is not a response from a person. So shout out to Sourcewell for figuring that out, because that has been a pain in my butt in the past. So that is one place that you can start automating. I highly, highly recommend. I used to live on LinkedIn. I used to send all my messaging through LinkedIn. I've seen so much more success. I'm sorry for my dog shaking in the background, but I've seen a lot more success with email sending than I have with LinkedIn. So it is somewhere definitely to invest. And then in terms of another capability that I really love about email finding, or sorry, email campaigns, is that you can actually create custom memes in a lot of them. So Limlist and Sourcewell both have this capability. It's really, really awesome. I'm sorry, my brain just had a little moment, but basically all you have to do here is you open this, go edit it, and you can see how this all looks if you are interested in Sourcewell also. So what you'll do here is I've started this out, hey, first name modifier. Hope you like this meme. So what I would do from here is I would go ahead and open up my meme generating page because I'm a nerd and I have that saved. And as you can tell, I had a lot of memes in here for you today. None of them show up, but that's okay. So I might choose this SpongeBob meme, something along those lines. I can go ahead and grab this. It's going to have these lines on it because I was covered over it at the time. That's okay. It happens to the best of us. And I can go ahead and create a meme in here. So really, really cool functionality here. You can go ahead and insert an image. And if my computer has the energy for it, we can go ahead, we can create an image. You can also then go ahead and edit your image. So once you have a meme in here, sorry, whoopsies. That's what I was meant to do. I apologize. So we'll go here and we'll put him back in. And then we want to customize him. So I would go ahead and add some text onto him. And what you can do is you can, oh, where'd that go? You can actually add a modifier. So first name, why haven't you responded to me? Something along those lines. Obviously not that aggressive. Unless that's your style, do you? But I can go ahead and I can actually make a custom meme that we'll send to this candidate. So if I move this around up to the top where you can actually see it, you can see first name, why haven't you responded to me? That will fill first name. So this person thinks that you actually spent the time to go onto the web, which honestly, I do this anyway, but you go onto the web and you make a meme specifically for this person. So that is a really cool functionality that a lot of these tools have as well. Sourcewell, Lemlist both have that. Interstellar allows you to upload memes. You can't customize it to the person, but you can make some pretty cool memes. So that is what I've got on email campaigning tools in terms of why you're going to want to do that and actually send a meme in your messaging. We have here, again, you can't see, but it's a bunch of compliments that we've gotten based on our memes. So one of them says like, love the Yoda analogy with automation, things along those lines. So if your response rate is suffering, even if candidates are not interested in the job, more often than not, we have found candidates responding saying, wow, love the memes. I also include pictures of my dogs. I hope you guys liked my dogs at the beginning. I love them so much. And we find that a lot of people also love pictures of dogs. So we have a lot of success including pictures of dogs as well as memes in our messaging. So those are customizable, automatable aspects of the process. I can pause and take a couple more questions, Ashley, if there are any.
Yes, we have quite a few. While we're on the memes, I'll just ask those meme questions.
Okay.
The meme generator that you were using, is it free?
Yes, it is free. So I use this really, really heavily. It has templates in here. So if you want to look up, I guess I was looking up Donkey from Shrek recently. So you can actually search, find some meme templates. You can see what people are doing down here. I'll actually go ahead and put this in my notes so that when you do receive the PowerPoint slide, you have that link as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Okay, so okay, another meme question. Do you have to make each one individually, or do you have a program that will populate them in
Mhm.
mass?
Mhm. So I make a meme for each email campaign that I'm running. The email campaigning tool will send that meme to each person. So as I showed you with the modifier, that meme will look like you made each single meme individually, but it will actually just do that for you. So that meme will be customized. Hey, Ashley, hey Brian, hey Mike, things like that for each person that is receiving the meme. So I only make one per campaign. I reuse a lot of mine, as I mentioned. I run a lot of software engineer searches, a lot of Java specifically. So I have a Java geared meme that I use almost every single time. We've seen a ton of success with it. And try to just work with what's going on right now. When Baby Yoda was a huge thing, I was using Baby Yoda very heavily.
Thank you so much. And did you say, you may have actually answered this already, but it's being asked a couple of times. Did you say that Interstellar provides customizable memes?
So Interstellar does not make customizable memes in the same sense as Lemlist and Sourcewell. So Lemlist and Sourcewell both allow you to have a modifier on your meme, which is what makes it customizable. Those tools are really, really awesome for that purpose. Interstellar does allow you to have memes in your messaging, but you would have to have it be more generalized. So that Java meme that I mentioned, is not customized to each person that is receiving it. It's just customized to something that they would relate to. So you would be able to use something like that in Interstellar, but something that has this person's name or this person's company or this person's hometown or something along those lines, you can do that in Sourcewell and in Lemlist.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And now we have a couple of questions about Sourcewell and Limlist. Number one, what are the biggest advances or Limlist or Sourcewell over Interstellar? Let me just rephrase that. What are the biggest advances of Limlist or Sourcewell over Interstellar, in your opinion?
So, in my opinion, we love Sourcewell because you can add as many emails from a single domain as you want. So we have all three of us on Wayne Tech emails, and that only really is one seat. So that's really awesome about Sourcewell. Great, easy ads when you want to add on new emails. We also really, really love the custom memes. I used to working with Wayne Tech, like just make memes about situations and send them to my friends all the time. And I was really quick about it, and people were like, "How did you do that so quick?" So I'm a huge meme nerd. We see a ton of success with our memes. If you can make it even more customizable, people love that. We get a ton of email responses saying like, "Wow, thank you so much for taking the time. This stands out from other recruiter emails." So having it even more customizable is really awesome. In terms of Sourcewell, as I mentioned earlier, there are certain modifiers that are not in other platforms. So we have here, one of the founders of the company created this salutation modifier just for Germany, because people greet each other differently in Germany. So you have that if you're working with German clients. That's a really, really awesome functionality. You also have custom variables that you can set yourself, which is really nice. Next day of the week is great. So if you're like, hey, do you want to chat blank? That's a really great option, as well as next working day. There are a ton of really great modifiers in Sourcewell. Lemlist is really great for if you're working also with global clients. It is very heavily recognized in Europe. So it is good if you're working globally. Interstellars, the benefit for Interstellar for me is that the UI is really, really simple, very user friendly. I haven't had a ton of hiccups with Interstellar or accidentally sent from wrong emails or anything like that. It's very, very easy to understand. But other than that, these two platforms do have more functionality.
Awesome.
And then
Thank
the
you.
last thing I would note on that again is that Sourcewell does do email funding for you, which is really great.
Very cool. Thank you so much. And if there are any other questions on Sourcewell, Limlist, just Interstellar, let us know. And we do have one more question, and then I think we probably should move forward.
Okay.
Do they offer a freemium, Limlist and Sourcewell?
Do they offer did you say a freemium?
A freemium, free version of the platforms?
That's a good question. I'm actually not certain on that.
Okay.
I think no, but I can double check and circle back.
Okay, well, we just got a free to try before you buy, and Loxo has a premium version. So we thank you, David.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, I think we will save the rest of the questions. Everyone, if we are not getting to your questions, we'll send those to Julia after the webinar.
Perfect. Yeah. So from here, as I mentioned earlier, I love Google Sheets. I live on Google Sheets. It's super customizable. So from here, I tend to automate my process using Google Sheets. So if I am working on a role, I might have a spreadsheet, a template that I'm working with that I want to use over and over again. So I can here, as you can see, I have a dashboard that can track response rates, things like that. I can show you all about what I do on Google Sheets. That saves me a ton of time. So the first thing that I really love about Google Sheets is the data validation. As I mentioned, I sometimes use this for grocery lists. I use this for finances, things like that. I buy bananas almost every single week. I love bananas. What can I say? They are great for runners. So if I'm buying bananas every single week, I know that I want to have bananas on my list. In this case, maybe something more applicable to recruiting. If you're always having the certain stages that candidates are going through, if you've sent this person to the client, if they're in their first stage interview, things like that, you can actually create a drop down that you can quickly select from. So what you would do here, and what you can see I did here, I will just do this over for you. But basically, you go to data validation, you can select your entire column here. You have a couple options here. My two that I use most frequently are list of items and list from range. List of items is really great if you have a set list that you are not going to alter. If you know that these are the stages that your candidate is going through, I'm never going to have a candidate in a weird stage, something different than this. I would use lists of items. That's what I've done here with my list here. So all you do is separate each validation with a comma. You don't need any spaces. So you go down there, you go ahead and save, and then you have your dropdown, which is really, really great. If you are doing something that maybe changes frequently, if you're like, okay, this person has this experience, oh no, they also have this, I didn't even think about that, I want to include that. What you would do is you would go in, you would create a data validation, and you would say list from range. So what you can do with that is, if I am to say, is this candidate a fit? I'm not sure, maybe this will change in the future. I can create a data validation here. So I can go ahead, data validation, list from range, and then I would select the range. So I can go here, and then I can go to another tab and have modifications there. So for this, I might select this range here. So anything in this column. So then in the future, if I throw a couple things in here, yes, no, maybe, need more info, you can see when you flip back over here, you now have your list here. So if I say, this is my purple squirrel, you can then see that if you flip back, you just added it, it's there now. So that's a really, really great functionality that I love. I use it pretty frequently, especially with groceries. Sometimes I need weird things, so it does help a lot. I love data validation for that reason. Another thing, if you're wondering, how many candidates have actually been delivered, how many candidates are interested, things like that, I use this filtering function, which is right up here, the thing that looks like a funnel. You can turn a filter on for a whole row, which I typically do with my headers, and then you can actually just see, okay, how many people are interested? And then you have your list there. So that is another thing that I like to use with my spreadsheets. Lastly, most complex, I also like to make formulas to make my life easier. So if I'm working with this, you already saw me work with one earlier, the split formula. You can find your formulas up in, let's see, where is it? I believe it's an insert. Yes, insert function. So this is really great. If you don't know formulas, you can actually roll over one and it can tell you what it does. So I am actually probably the weakest with formulas on our team. I'm going to be completely honest, but I have been able to write formulas on my own and understand how they work because Google Sheets and Excel do make it pretty easy for you. So I'd actually never worked with the split functionality until today. I still figured it out and continue to use these formulas pretty heavily. The ones I use most heavily are the concatenate formula, which will append a string of cells together. So if I have a first and last name of a candidate, we'll use my own name as an example, and I want to get the full name of this candidate in one spot, all I would do is equals concatenate, and then I would add a space in between, so it's not Julia Adler, one word, and go ahead, and there you go. So I use that pretty frequently, and then we also use the countifs fairly frequently to create our dashboard. So you can see here, we have a more complex string here. Basically what this said is we want to count this if on the lab tab, the E column is the same as A2 in this tab. So you can see A2 here is software engineer, E column here is the client role title. So then we're going to go ahead and count that. If it says emailed, count if that column in A2 is not bounced, because sometimes, inevitably you will have a bounced email, and if it's not delivered. So that is how you can see how many people here have responded. If it's blank, as well. So, and then here I wrote another one about count if this person is interested. So you can see C1 in my lab here is the column that does say, maybe it is not, maybe, oh, sorry, that C1 is on this page. B column is the one that says whether or not this candidate is interested. So you can figure out formulas pretty simply just from looking at the functions on the list. There are so many you can use. We use them for dashboards. We use them to make our data prettier. We use them when we present our data to our clients as well. So does anybody have any questions about formulas, about Google Sheets, anything along those lines?
We do. We have a couple of questions. Actually, we have a few. And you may have answered this one, but it's been asked a couple of times as well. Do you track each candidate's status manually or do you automate that?
Um, do I track each candidate status manually? Um, so the way that I work with this is I will track it as I am making my introduction to the client. So once we do have an interested candidate, I actually do need to refer to the candidate information anyway. So I will go ahead to my tracking sheet, which pulls from a couple of our different workbooks here. And I will go ahead and pull the information. So while I am on that uh, sheet, I will go ahead and actually just change I have a drop down that would say introduction. So for reference, I can show you what our lab looks like and what our tracking document looks like. So you can see, I'm showing you a super simple version of what we actually work with. This is our data here that you can see. I am working right now, as I mentioned, on a software engineer role. And then you can also see some of our tracking documents. So here, if you look at tracking, I'm going to narrow this down for sake of privacy for our clients and for our candidates. But we have all of the jobs, our response rate for that, how many people we've introduced. And then if you see on here, sorry, again, MacBook Air, not the quickest work computer, don't recommend as a work computer. But if you look at the data here, you can see it is pretty quick and easy to just drop down and manually track it. It is not so manual. I do use these validations to track. I drag and drop for messaging, and then I just very quickly would change here, introduced.
Very cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have, let's see, any Google Sheets training resources that you would recommend. And David said he's horrible with formulas, VLOOKUPs, pivot tables, etc. So any sheets that you have, and if you don't have those on hand, feel free to share them with me and I'll just share with everybody after the webinar.
Mm-hmm. I would say that Excel does do a training for that. You do have to pay for it. It is really, really awesome, though. It's absolutely worth the money. So I would invest in that. Other than that, I should have probably asked permission before doing this, but my colleague, Nikeo Hill, is a wizard with formulas. He's absolutely fantastic with them. He is Nightwing in our organization. We are all really open to helping out. So if you ping him, he can probably jump on and show you a couple of tips and tricks, as well as Batman. He's really great with them as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's such a pain to learn all of that. So you always have to be really thankful for the wizard. Do you find any advantages using Google Sheets over Excel?
Mm-hmm. I prefer the UI for Google Sheets. It also kind of keeps me in one program. I'm pretty much all day only in Chrome, very few exceptions. So I tend to prefer Google Sheets. Not everybody has Excel when it comes to sending the information. Not everybody can download an Excel file and view it as Excel, so it can mess up some of the data. Pretty much everybody has a Google account. If they don't, you can actually save your Google Sheet as an Excel file and send it to them that way. So that is why I prefer Google Sheets. It just works better for me. I've always preferred it. It seems easier to me. It's easier to look at for long periods of time as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that is what we have on Google Sheets. We have quite a few other questions that we'll save, but we only have 5 minutes left. So yes, we're 5 minutes too. That's okay. If we go over, which happens very, very frequently, especially with really active webinars like this, everyone is welcome to just stay on as long as you're here, Julia.
Yeah, I actually was just planning on flipping to my contact me page from here. So
Okay.
I'd be happy to take questions. Oh, one of my images finally loaded. Of course, it's me whacking my colleague with a baton, but
We need to
um,
zoom in on this because Batman looks horrified back there. He
yeah,
left, by the
yeah,
way.
I
He's
was.
no longer spamming you with questions in the background.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I'd love to take any additional questions from here.
Okay, great. Well, we have quite a few. Let me just run through this. Are you able to share an example of a role search for a data engineer or a scientist?
Um, a role search. Yeah, live search, sure. So I will go ahead. I tend to prefer sourcing on Seek Out. I'm also going to close out of everything so that my computer works a little quicker. Um, I would typically start my search if I'm not provided with a job description. I would typically look up a candidate that is currently at the company doing this role. If there's not one of those candidates, I would just go ahead and look up a competitor company and see if they have a job description available. So what I would do from there is I would use that information to start my search. As I mentioned, I have a not string saved for all of the titles that I frequently do not want to see. So I would go ahead and start with that. You can see in my projects here, here's my not management string. I'd go ahead and click and open that. It seems to have saved incorrectly. I must have changed it accidentally after. But what I would do is start with my title string. So current title, if we're looking for, I think you said a data scientist, I would actually do data science star, so that I'm getting science or scientist, and see what I've got there and just kind of work backwards. So if I'm seeing this, I can actually do a little research and see what other type of titles I'm getting frequently and if I can add that into my search. So here I'm seeing analyst pretty frequently, so I'd go ahead and add analyst in here. I cannot spell today. From there, I would use a lot of these. I rely fairly heavily on the filters within Seek Out. So I know that if I'm looking for a data scientist, I'm probably looking for somebody with at least 5 years of experience, but I don't want somebody who is nearing the end of their career. So I might cap it there. I'd also want to narrow down based on years and company. So I would want to make sure that this person's open to new opportunities, probably to not just accept a new role or is really happy living at the company they've been with for 10 plus years. So I use that pretty heavily. From there, I would use positions, certain things I'm seeing in the positions in description that I want. Did this person provide any details there, or should I fill it in myself? Do you know, Ashley? Maybe not. So maybe I'm looking for somebody working with data mining, big data. This is just a super basic, not a lot of thought going into this string. I tend to do fairly heavy research before I start my search, almost always, so that I can get a better understanding of the role. And then I would write my not current title string and make sure that I'm not getting things like principal, management, director, things like that. Does that help?
I think that's perfect. Thank you so much. And if you have any additional questions about that, just send them through and I will send them to Julia.
Perfect.
All right, let's see here. We have had a couple of people ask to repeat the affordable email tools. Are those in your slide deck?
They are in my slide deck, and now that my slide deck is actually
Hello.
Loading, maybe,
Oh,
not anymore. Nymeria, Kendo, and Signal Hire are the three affordable ones.
okay.
Kendo. Nymeria is Nymeria, and then Signal Hire is Signalhire. So those are the three affordable ones that I tend to lean
Okay.
on heavily. Are you there, Ashley?
Fantastic. Yes, yes, it cut out for just a second there. Okay, fantastic. Well, if you don't mind sending those to me as well, I'll also send those out with the materials. Um,
Perfect.
let's see. Our next question is, as far as those email tools are concerned, why do you prefer those over Loxo's campaign tool?
Why do I prefer that over Loxo's campaigning tool? I do see a lot of success with using Loxo as an email finding tool. I prefer the campaigning tools just based on, again, UI. I am a sucker for getting things done quickly. I have a really low patience when it comes to certain things that don't have the functionality I'm specifically looking for in that moment. So that's typically why I tend to prefer um, Sourcewell and Seller over Loxo. I have used Loxo. It does work really, really well. I wouldn't discount Loxo. I think it's a really, really great platform. We do want to actually start moving to use Loxo more frequently once we start kind of shifting more of our stuff from Google Sheets onto Loxo. It's just not a move we've made yet. Ashley, are you there? Did I lose you? I think I may have lost you. Well, if that is
Well,
the
it looks
case,
like we
thank you
just
everybody
made time.
Okay, there you are.
No, I'm here.
I think you might be lagging if I were to guess.
Yeah.
Um, okay, awesome. Well, for the sake of everybody's time, I can let you all go, but if there are any additional questions, again, you'll be receiving my slide deck from Ashley, which does include my contact information. Please, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am here for any questions, for anything you need. So please feel free to reach out.
Julia, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know what happened. It just cut out completely. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you so much, Julia. This was fantastic.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much, Ashley, for having me in Recruiting Daily.
Y'all, everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.